Did you feel at any point that you was like betraying New York or Biggie by going to do that interview with Tupac at that time?
His side of the story was like, how could I be mad at a whole coast? That don't even make sense. And I said, well, nobody's heard you say that. Like, this is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
The East Coast, West Coast thing is a musical thing. That's separate. That's a whole thing separate to itself. That's a musical thing. When we have been beefing about whose music is better or which is this or which is that
like it's gotten
from
real
the beginning.
bad
It
right
has
now.
because I'm like a lightning rod because I'm attacking New York's finest.
The East Coast-West Coast feud was a musical phenomenon all on its own, separate from other conflicts. It was a clash about whose music reigned supreme. As Tupac once explained, he became a lightning rod by directly challenging New York's finest. But did Angie Martinez ever feel like she was betraying New York or Biggie by interviewing Tupac during such a heated time? His response was simple, yet profound. How could I be mad at an entire coast? That doesn't even make sense. Angie noted that while many felt the tension, no one had heard Pac say it like that before. Angie Martinez is finally breaking her silence on why she never released her full Tupac interview. And yes, Diddy seems to be at the center of it. What was once thought to be an urban legend has resurfaced as a shocking reality. Allegedly, Diddy pressured Angie to keep the interview under wraps because Tupac revealed deeply disturbing industry secrets, potentially exposing Diddy for who he really was. Pac didn't hold back. It was like his infamous diss track Hit 'Em Up in podcast form. Now, Angie is spilling all the tea about the threats she received from Diddy, which forced her to shelve the interview. But could the feds actually have access to it now? And is it true that Diddy threatened Angie's life if she dared to release it?
I couldn't air it on the radio because I was literally afraid that somebody would die. I literally thought I would make a bad situation worse. When my intent was to try to smooth it out and make it better, but he was so angry and passionate at the time that I really felt like if I would have came, put it on the radio, it would have got worse.
And what's going down with that? So I wanted to get his view, and here goes a little something.
The East Coast, West Coast thing is a musical thing. That's separate. That's a whole thing separate to itself. That's a musical thing. When we have been beefing about whose music is better or which is this or which is that from the beginning. It has because I'm like a lightning rod because I'm attacking New York's finest. They're self-proclaimed king of New York. You know what I mean? I'm attacking him. So because nobody is separating themselves from him, they still talking about how raw. Yes, they still talking about how raw he is and woo woo woo. He's a representative. He represents New York.
There are a lot
every time it benefits New York, he represents New York. When it don't benefit New York, now he's just another rapper. But y'all let him wear y'all colors. You let him shout y'all shout. When Biggie came out here, he screamed out, "Brooklyn's in the house." We don't beat to say why you starting a war. Why is everybody when I say West Side, it hurt people's feelings?
I don't think it's because you're saying West Side. I think because
they think they own me.
No, not at all. I think it's because, Dog Pound video came out, New York. And I'm not saying you was in the video. I know you wasn't in the video.
I wasn't in it. I didn't write it. I didn't produce the beat.
All right, so let's take that.
I was in jail. The album was done while I was in jail. That's separate.
It just, you know what it is? It's New York's visualizing your camp, which to them is Death Row, which is Dog Pound, which is Snoop, and which is that whole thing. And it was all one time. The New York video came out. Brothers was stepping on cars in New York, stepping on New York like they owned it. Boom, you come out next video. What
about the video? Yes, to me it is the best coast, and everybody in New York feel like that too. That's why they come out here and party, man. Why is everybody acting like? I'm not saying. I didn't say for me to say Cali is the West Coast. I never said New York ain't shit. I never said New York is the worst coast. I just said where I'm at, where I'm from is the best coast. Why is that offending people?
Okay.
Let's dive into the details. Angie admitted, "I couldn't air it on the radio because I genuinely feared someone might die. My intention was to smooth things over, not make them worse." But Tupac's raw anger and passion at the time made her believe that airing the interview would only fuel the fire. At the height of her career, Angie was already a rising star thanks to her fresh and fearless voice in the industry. In the 1990s, as the East Coast-West Coast beef reached its peak, Angie was the perfect candidate to interview Tupac, a career-defining moment for her. Born to a multicultural family, Angie navigated a rebellious teenage phase, hanging out with friends and embracing street life. Her mother, worried about her future, sent Angie to Miami, where she was exposed to the world of radio and pop culture. This early exposure set the stage for her incredible journey. At just 15, Angie secured an internship at Hot 97, where she quickly became a protege of DJ Funkmaster Flex. Over time, she honed her skills and became a co-host for major segments, interviewing legends like Jay-Z, DMX, and Mariah Carey. Her charisma and talent made her a beloved figure in the hip-hop world, despite occasional clashes with rival Wendy Williams. By the late 90s, Angie had established herself as a household name. Fast forward to 2014, Angie made a bold move to Power 105.1 after 2 decades at Hot 97. She later signed with Rock Nation and transitioned into music, where she gained further recognition with hits like Ladies' Night and collaborations with Mary J. Blige. Despite setbacks, including a life-threatening accident in 2019, Angie emerged stronger, launching her podcast and continuing her influential career. But her professional journey wasn't without its controversies, especially her decades-long feud with Diddy. Angie openly admitted her dislike for Diddy's aggressive style and shady dealings. She revealed in her memoir My Voice that while many sought to get close to Diddy, she maintained her distance, disapproving of his approach. One of the most infamous moments in her career was her interview with Tupac, recorded during the peak of the East Coast-West Coast feud. Although Angie only released a brief 10-minute snippet of the 2-hour interview, the fallout was immense. Pac used the platform to speak openly about the industry and drop bombshell revelations, leaving Angie certain that releasing the full interview would lead to more violence. Pac's comments exposed dark, well-guarded industry secrets that some were willing to protect at any cost. Angie feared that airing the interview would lead to deadly consequences, a sentiment Fat Joe echoed years later. He praised her decision, noting, "She probably would have made a lot of money, but she prioritized safety over profit."
Fat Joe, he did an interview with Angie Martinez, and Angie Martinez told Fat Joe that the reason why she haven't released the Tupac interview is because she feel like the interview would get people killed. What you think about her saying that?
Yeah, I was there when he did the interview with Angie Martinez, and I seen that post, and I think she made a wise decision. You know what I mean? Because everybody will be involved, and when bodies start dropping and people lose their life, you know what I mean? The consequences and accountability, everybody who pushed that is involved. Like, for example, people die because the media really pushed the East Coast, West Coast war that really wasn't there. So I think Angie Martinez was wise to say, I'm not going to release that, because she probably would have got a lot of money. It probably would have been one of her biggest interviews, especially back then. Pac was fresh out of jail, and one of the first interviews he done was with her. It would have blew up. But she was smart enough and wise enough to say, you know what? But what about the consequences? You understand? And I think, hip hop need more of that. They need more of that mindset to say, okay, even with the record companies don't really care about what these rappers put out, and, if they start killing each other, because it's all about money. So I seen that, we was there, and I think that was really wise of her, to not release it. Cause Pac was mad, he was going crazy on everybody.
Angie Martinez, right? When she went to LA and did the interview with Tupac, did y'all know about that on Bad Boy side?
Yeah, we heard about it. And I think Puff is probably one of the only persons that heard that interview. Angie can't say that nobody heard that interview, because it wasn't her ideal not to put it out. Do you understand what I'm saying? She can say that it wasn't her idea, but it's not owned by her. Who owns that interview? Because who was sent out there? Hot 97 owns it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So she could take all the accolades for not putting it out. You understand? But when you send somebody or someone of your person do an interview under the banner of Hot 97, it belongs to Hot 97. And Puff in the back ran Hot 97. That's how he got Wendy Williams fired. You understand what I'm saying? He could make phone calls. to say something, to say, don't put this out, don't do this, take this off. He had that kind of power.
So Puffy, he did hear that Tupac interview.
Why would you try to stop something if you ain't heard it? Why would you try to stop something if you didn't hear it? And if Puff asked to hear something that Angie Martinez have, you think they're going to deny him?
Adding fuel to the fire, rumors suggest Diddy personally intervened to stop the interview's release. Allegedly, he sent threats to Angie, forcing her to protect herself by keeping the tapes locked away. While the specifics of what Pac said remain unclear, it's believed the revelations could have ended Diddy's career. Interestingly, whispers claim that the feds now have possession of the interview as part of their investigations into Tupac's death and Diddy's alleged involvement. Diddy's influence in the 1990s, particularly his control over Hot 97, may explain why the interview never saw the light of day. Multiple sources allege that Diddy used his power to silence Angie and ensure the interview was buried. Pac's suspicion of Diddy's involvement in his 1994 shooting only adds another layer to this tangled web. As the feds reportedly reopen Tupac's case, many wonder whether the interview will finally surface. Will Angie release it, or is it best left in the hands of investigators? Let us know your thoughts in the comments and don't miss our next video.